Okay, today we'll be talking about Jordan Peterson as the INCEL god and the inspiration for the villain in a new movie by Olivia Wilde. So, we all know Jordan Peterson has been a nightmarish figure for many for quite a while. I mean, remember Red Skull as directed and created by Ta-Nehisi Coates. So, Jordan Peterson has been the symbol of Satan for those who just want the utopia of an equal society. But now he is the god of the INCEL movement. I mean, that's an improvement, I guess.
I know, right? I know.
I know some of you are confused, like, what is INCEL and how do they relate to Jordan Peterson? Well, INCEL stands for involuntary celibacy, a term found in a serial killer's manifesto and now describes a subculture among some men. These men believe they can't find happiness with a woman, and that's because they are doomed with the genetic medical condition known as being ugly and sexually unattractive. They believe women will never fall in love with them because they don't have the physique that women find attractive. And this view is validated by stats showing that women find 80% of men on dating sites as unattractive. But what's unique about the incels is they believe, based on the current structure of society and women's typical preferences, that they don't stand a chance with women and are therefore condemned to solitude for life.
How many of you have tried to stop an ugly dude from calling you?
What does this movement have to do with Jordan Peterson? Well, let Olivia Wilde explain it to us in her own words. So, this fresh female director sat down for an interview with Maggie Gyllenhaal to promote her new film project, Don't Worry, Darling. And she decided to make the interview spicy. So I'll read the spicy part of the interview to you guys and give you my thoughts and suspicion. So Maggie asks, how was it working with Harry? And Olivia replies, wonderful. I love working with musicians and dancers because in their work, you have no choice than to go 100%. If a dancer doesn't go 100%, they get hurt. If a musician doesn't go 100%, it doesn't work. I was directing a Red Hot Chili Peppers music video and I noticed that the band, even on the 20th take, was going all out in their bodies through their fingertips because the song actually doesn't work if you sing it at 50%. I remember thinking, man, if actors thought about it that way, would that change some of what we see out there? Oh yeah. So she's interested in actors giving a role 100%, but her creative process seemed to lack the 100% requirement of due diligence. Well, I'm getting ahead of myself here. So let's continue reading. So Maggie says, I think I feel that way when I'm acting. And Olivia replies, that's why you are really effing good. The thing is, it's scary and exhausting to go all the way, but working with Harry, who obviously is a musician, it was like there was no other option for him than to work as hard as possible and to commit to the scene as hard as possible. He never holds back. Oftentimes, when it's not your scene and you are in a supporting role, people give 80%. But even if he was way off camera, he was so there for everyone and for the crew and production. The tone that he set was just a very positive force. Chris Pine was the same. Chris, who I've known for like 20 years, probably agreed to do the movie at first as a favor to an old buddy, and then he really took it and ran with it. Maggie says, yeah, he's wonderful. And Olivia replies, terrifying. We based that character on this insane man, Jordan Peterson, who is this pseudo-intellectual hero to the incel community. You know the incels? One thing you should ensure when you want to speak ill of someone else is to get your facts straight. Pseudo-intellectual? Are you serious? Olivia, you based the villain in your movie on a real-life character. And you are so wrong about even the basic information about this guy that you can readily obtain from Wikipedia. Like, the man in question is a clinical psychologist and professor emeritus at the University of Toronto. He served as an associate professor of psychology at Harvard and has written over 100 academic papers. He's the most cited professor in his field and has penned popular global bestsellers. I mean, he's so exceptional that a young man in the heart of West Africa, aka yours truly, has been hugely and positively impacted by his work. But in Olivia's book, that's the exact qualification for a pseudo-intellectual. Boy, how mistaken can she be? I mean, didn't she learn anything from Harry Styles? Give this your 100%. Clearly, you didn't even put 5% effort in your writing process. You know, there was a time when people consulted libraries, read books, and interviewed authorities when conducting research. But these days, they get their basic facts from internet trolls and BuzzFeed. But the interview continues. So to her question about whether Maggie knew the incels, Maggie replies, no. And Olivia explains, that's basically disenfranchised, mostly white men who believe they are entitled to sex from women. Maggie says, oh, right. And Olivia replies, and they believe that society has now robbed them, that the idea of feminism is working against nature, and we must be put back into the correct place. Maggie says, well, they must be psyched. Things are going really well for them. And Olivia says, yeah, they are actually succeeding in many different ways. But this guy, Jordan Peterson, is someone that legitimizes certain aspects of their movement because he is a former professor. Oh, now he is a former professor. He's an author, he wears a suit, so they feel like this is a real philosophy that should be taken seriously. Maggie says, wow. And Olivia continues, yeah, it was a dream to work with all these involved men on this movie who understood what we were trying to say. You know, I don't know if you notice something she's doing here. It's a common practice among lazy people when they want to state facts, make an argument, or convince you about something. What they do is lump various categories together to make it look like they're all the same. You know, no matter how ridiculous and extremely evil and stupid a movement or subculture can be, they always have some elements of truth in their narrative. There's something that an evil group might say or do that I can agree with. Like some things said by the leaders of the RLP community like Andrew Tate or Rollo Tomasi. These men and their RLP community are not 100% wrong.
And people will do anything for attention because attention is a currency.
But if I repeat their valid argument and say that it's right, all of a sudden I'm one of them. And I'm championing their cause, even if there are 99 other things they may have said that I may have disagreed with vehemently and vocally, but it doesn't matter. I am to reject everything these people say. If they say the sky is blue, I am to say the sky is red. And that is what Olivia is doing in this interview. And it's shocking coming from these people like her. These same people know how to differentiate between bisexuals and pansexuals and can point out the non-existent discrepancies between being asexual and aromantic. But they find it extremely difficult to tell the difference between a man who believes that you can change your destiny and take full charge of your life, become successful and attract the right spouse. They can't distinguish between that man and a group of men who believe they have been doomed to a life without love or romance and can do nothing to change their destiny of celibacy. I mean, to Olivia Wilde, this distinction is too infinitesimal to take into account. And somehow Jordan Peterson is the INCEL god, a title that I wouldn't even ascribe to funny actors like Andrew Tate.
99% of the world's problems would be solved if females walked through life with their body count on their forehead.
But here is the INCEL god preaching his gospel to his followers.
I would say to young men who are irritated at women is, if you're irritated at women, you know, as a class of creature, there's something wrong with you because they're right. You're wrong. They're right to not pick you. If they're not picking you, it's because they're right. What do you expect from women? If you got pregnant because you had sex, you'd be pretty damn choosy too. So, you know, clue in a bit. And then, well, don't they find you attractive? Well, maybe you're not. Like, have you paid attention to how you dress? Do you have a plan? Are you as educated as you could be? You know, are you a liar? Are you a rabid pornography user? Because maybe that's undermining your motivation to seek out a woman and grow yourself. If you were better, you'd be more successful with women. Yeah. So you have to have that in your mind. And you cannot be angry at women. It's stupid.
So that's Jordan Peterson legitimizing certain aspects of the INCEL movement with the divine eloquence of his pseudo-intellectual qualification, right? But I believe there's more in play here. Yes. Like, look at the way this came up in the interview. She wasn't asked. Maggie wasn't like, tell us about the characters in the movie. Nothing. She just brought it up inorganically into the conversation because she felt the need to put it out there regardless. And why? Well, I don't live in her head and I can't factually speak to her intent. But if you follow the breadcrumbs, they will lead you to the possible culprit. I mean, there's a lot of controversy surrounding the release of this film. We know that her beloved Harry Styles was the second option for this role in the movie. She had claimed that her first choice, Shia LaBeouf, was fired because his process, quote, required combative energy. But Shia LaBeouf came out and said he wasn't fired. He quit the film due to a lack of rehearsal time. Yeah. So much for wanting 100%. Remember when she said that? Oh, and that's not the only controversy. Rumor has it that Olivia has had an affair with her 100% Harry Styles on set while still married to her former partner. There are also rumors of Harry spitting on Chris Pine during the film Venice film premiere. Even the lead female character, Florence Pugh, seemed to have some personal issues with Olivia and has refused to do any press for the release of this film. So, why would Olivia suddenly talk about Jordan Peterson when the conversation was about Harry Styles and Chris Pine? Well, let's just say when the drama behind the scenes of your groundbreaking film is more juicy and newsworthy than the drama within the film, You may want to distract from the mess and promote your movie with some even more juicy, controversial, unrelated detail that covers the dumpster fire that is the current scene of your personal life. And what other controversial figure is worthy of an unjust attack that will refocus the woke crowd to your failed movie project than the prestigious Jordan Peterson? But of course, I'm making this up. This is unlikely. I mean, Olivia Wilde will not do such a thing.
Hey, I'm an innocent bystander. They saying I drove a getaway car, but I cannot see. I'm legally blind.
I mean, she's a renowned female movie director trying to start a conversation about misogynistic views among a patriarchal terrorist group that kills and hates women. So, please, you should go and see Don't Worry, Darling, because Olivia Wilde went through a lot to make that film possible. And I hear great things.